What's going on, everybody? Doug here, one of the host, producers, and creators of the Genre of Your Life podcast, here with the review run-up episode, one of the few actually to end the month of June. Hope you're having a great June so far. Well, end of June, that is. Hope you're having a great summer movie season, man. There's been some really cool things and not so cool things in theaters right now. But hey, it's been a very, I'll say, very eclectic, I would say very diverse group of films, array of films, I would say, in theaters right now, whether it's animation, horror, comedy, rom-com, drama, you name it. I mean, there's a lot action. There's a lot in right now, and man, we're just getting started. It's July in a few days. Whew, man, we are just kicking to full gear. And also, it's also radio tease for also another review episode coming up. Hopefully, end of the weekend for my F1 review. Look out for that. I got a lot of thoughts on that. Mostly positive. Again, radio tease. But yeah, we have a lot of things in the pipeline for you all for the show and for the podcast and the brand going forward. You'll probably hear a bunch of review episodes from me for the next week or so. We're taking the week off to be with family and friends for the 4th of July. Hope you're all doing the same thing and staying cool. I know it's been really, in the humid area, it's been really humid. You know, for us in AZ, it's already been like this since like probably end of April, early May in the 110s. So, you know, we're used to it, but hope you're staying really cool. You know, this weather, I'm hearing this all over Twitter too. Like the weather's very like they do the right thing. Whether my favorite Spike Lee movie, no episode of the podcast this upcoming week. We will probably reunite the week of Superman, which is the week of the 7th. I'm going to a screening on that Tuesday the 8th, thanks to Amazon Prime. Our friends Seth and Nino will also be going to that one as well. So look out for a review or reaction with them probably. I don't know when Nick's gonna see it or I think I'm probably gonna see it both. I'm probably gonna see it opening weekend, but I'll be the cool kid in the group, and we'll see before two of my best friends and my co-hosts. Yeah, no brag, of course, but it'll be kind of fun. So look out for that. And I really don't think we have any other screenings that we are on the pipeline for us of July. I'm trying to think. So I also want to bring back the movie preview, the producer's playbill. I introduced that like maybe a year and a half ago, and it was like an audio newsletter for you all. Aside from these review roundup episodes, so hopefully I bring those back as well. But yeah, I definitely want to grow out a lot of the show this summer. Again, a lot more in the pipeline for us to do to grow. We are having a great growth on Instagram now, thanks to you all. We're growing the show on there. YouTube's been growing pretty well, and we're still kind of like gradually growing the show on podcasts and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that, of course. So a lot of growth to go, but we're really proud of the progress we made so far. We'll be going on 3 years of the show come November, which is crazy. This show has been growing in ways I can't even think of. I had this idea years ago where I was like, who would listen and whatever, but the love and support we've gotten so far, is one of the most highlights of my life. And I truly mean that, because it's just, who would have thought, us, myself, Moses, and Nick kind of just like ramble about what we love would work the way it does. And I'm lucky to have those two guys in my life as best friends, but also as co-hosts. So it's a little sentimental on you right there. But yeah, guys. But again, you're here for this review episode. It is a review roundup episode of my reviews for Karate Kid Legends and Bring Her Back to, widely different movies in all levels. I feel like I always pair these with like most randomest movies together. I feel like no one's like, yeah, it's like a comedy and action. Yeah, that could work, whatever. But no. I pick like random horror drama with like an action, whatever, or comedy with like very depressing drama, horror, whatever. I feel like I don't count these. I don't only pair these very well together. But it's kind of the nature of the biz, as we say. But I'm trying. I think even like my next few ones I have for you all are very different. With like F1 and the movie I probably pair with that. And then I'm working on my review for Materialist, and 28 years later, it's been a busy week at work, and we had a few screenings this week with F1 and Megan. Our Megan review is now out on our channel, of course, on YouTube, and of course on the Apple Podcast. And speaking of which, you can find this very show on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, and of course we have our full video show on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. Whether on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button, subscribe. We want to hear from you guys. Again, all feedback is good feedback to us if you ask us. We want to hear from you all. Your feedback really does mean the world to us. You want to see more games, you want to see more guests, let us know. We want to hear from you all. And don't be shy. So again, leave a review, leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify, Apple. Go ahead and subscribe, rate, follow, do all of that. And again, our ongoing goal is still for Apple Podcasts is 200 Apple Podcast ratings by end of summer. And also our other goal is to build the YouTube get 1,000 subs. We're at like, I want to say 760 right now, which is growing pretty well. I got a lot more things to upload in terms of reactions and footage. Look out for that. And we're trying to get some of our friends on the show. Our friends Seth and Nino, our friend Zach as well on the show, and a lot more other people on the show this summer too. So look out for that. But a lot on the pipeline for you guys. And again, as always, we really do appreciate the support. All right, if you hear a bunch of barking or weird noises, I am dog sitting for my parents, and I have 3 dogs with me, including my dog Blue. And they love to play with toys and kind of play and kind of just, roughhouse each other. So if you hear that or barking, that's why. You see I'm in my typical home office / studio, but change a little greener scenery right here. But yeah, all right, guys, let's get into this, shall we? So starting off in the order I've seen them. I know Bring Her Back came out first, and then Karate Kid Legends came out. But I saw these movies kind of late before they left the theater by me. So let's get into it, shall we? And I will start with this: Karate Kid Legends, the Legends of the Karate Kid. No, I'm kidding. It's Karate Kid Legends. I wasn't the biggest Karate Kid fan growing up. I'll be honest with you. I feel like, I remember my parents showed me the first one when I was a kid, and it was cool. And I remember seeing the 2010 reboot with some friends when we were, I think it was in middle school. I think it was like summer of 6th and 7th grade. I remember saw the A-Team first, and I love the A-Team remake is one of the most underrated movies of all time, if you ask me. And I think we saw the Karate Kid like maybe a week or so after that. 'Cause a lot of people were talking about it. It made a lot of money, more than A-Team, unfortunately. But again, wasn't a big Karate Kid fan. Again, it was for me, was only nostalgic for me, maybe for my parents or other people in the generation. So again, didn't have a huge connection to the franchise other than remember seeing it as a kid with my parents, and then also seeing the Karate Kid 2010 with Jaden Smith in theaters when I was in middle school. But Karate Kid Legends follows after moving to New York City with his mother. Kung Fu prodigy Lee Fong struggles to let go of his past as he tries to fit in with his new classmates. When a new friend needs his help, Lee enters a karate competition, but his skills alone aren't enough. With the help of Mr. Han and Daniel LaRusso, Mr. Han being from the Karate Kid 2010 with Jaden Smith, and Daniel LaRusso being the original Karate Kid, he soon learns to merge 2 styles into one for the ultimate martial arts showdown. Karate Kid Legends. What they were going for in this, or I'm calling it Karate Kid No Way Home. It's what it feels like. It feels like Karate Kid No Way Home, 100%. Try to merge these kind of different franchises together. Crossovers and, spin-offs, all that are kind of like the it thing right now. Of course, it's been a thing for a while. What they were also going for is like a Creed kind of style, trying to bring this franchise, kind of bring some fresh blood into it and kind of reboot it for this generation's this generation of film goers and movie lovers. I gotta be honest, it's kind of just okay. It kind of has that typical legacy sequel, legacy spin-off kind of vibe to it. It's very kind of I'm not gonna say cookie cutter, but you've seen this story before. It's like, okay, these 2 legends work together, this prodigy kid's gonna do this, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's pretty, we've seen it before. We've seen it before in other movies and other franchises. And yeah, it is cool to see Jackie Chan back in this role. I grew up with Jackie Chan movies. Ralph Macchio, I grew up, watching him in The Outsider, stuff like that. Also, he had a really funny cameo in Entourage, I think season 2. Yeah, it was. But again, And also, it was fun seeing them together. Again, I wasn't get goosebumps how I did I saw Toby and Andrew in No Way Home, or even seeing Stallone and Creed. I was like, oh wow, I had a connection to these characters, so it makes sense. This I was kind of like, oh yeah, it was cool, but again, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, that's Mr. Han, that's Daniel LaRusso. I was like, oh yeah, that's the guys from the other movies, cool. It is formulaic, like a lot of these other sequels are too. It's like, oh man, something happens in the family, what's going to happen? And then, the typical, being school bully kind of fish out of water kind of story. And again, you've seen this story before hundreds of times. And I'm trying to think of the last good legacy sequel, I would say. Other than I guess Top Gun Maverick, or even I would say again, No Way Home. this kind of feels like it was kind of just made really kind of quickly and was like, oh, here we go, we're gonna do another Karate Kid movie because why not? Also I didn't really watch Cobra Kai. I remember watching the first season when it came out on like YouTube Red so many years ago before it got bought to Netflix. So I didn't have connection to the Cobra Kai characters either. I remember sort of liking the first season of Cobra Kai, but I never once was like, oh man, I should go back to that show. I give another chance. I know people loved it for a while. That thing kind of overstayed its welcome and went on too long. But so again, I wasn't like too hyped for the movie. I just wanted to see kind of again because I had the Regal pass, again, humble, shameless plug, having the Regal Limited pass. So that why I want to see it. Again, also too, it's like, you know what, summertime, it was hot outside. Let's go see it. I will say this kid in this movie, I believe it was Ben Wong is his name. I'm saying Ben Wang by accident. Ben Wong. This kid is going to be a star. Look out for this kid. He's going to be in the Stephen King adaptation of The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence. He's also been casted in the next Hunger Games, which I'm really excited for, also directed by Francis Lawrence. This kid's going to be a movie star. I'm saying kid, I think he's like 2 years younger than me, so this guy is going to be a movie star. He has his charisma to him, and he's definitely the heart of the movie. I thought what he brought to the table was very impressive. It's a lot of pressure. You're bringing in two different, storylines in this franchise into one, how they tie it in. And I did like the opening of this movie a lot, where it was kind of like a tie-in from Mr. Miyagi, from one of the original Karate Kid movies, and I did like that. How they kind of like you didn't have to watch Cobra Kai or the Jane Smith one or the original Karate Kids to watch this one, but you definitely, I think, would appreciate it more by having some kind of context. But again, you are trying to introduce it to a new generation of Karate Kid fans and moviegoers. But really, Ben Wang, this kid, really, to me, has a lot of charisma, he has the it. He has what they call the movie business. He has the stuff. And for some reason, I said this in my reaction too, his acting reminded me of like Tobey Maguire from 2002 Spider-Man. Like, I don't know what, it was very kind of just like this boyish charm, but very kind of just like very humble and sweet. And the way he kind of moved a little bit reminded me a little bit of the kind of Tobey Maguire's moves in Spider-Man 2002. And I don't know what it was, but when I was watching him, like, his performance reminded me very Tobey Maguire-esque in 2002. Again, it's great things. That movie, changed my life, how I saw a movie. That was my first superhero movie, first PG-13 movie. I loved, like, for some reason, that it reminded me of that. And again, like, some of the fight scenes kind of just, like in the scene, the first Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, him fighting in the hallway, it was kind of just like, there was very, like, humble, but also very kind of just very, again, boyish charm to what Ben Wang brought to the character of Lee. And I thought that was really, again, I don't know why that came to my mind, but it did, and I'm again put a smile on my face. The villain is a typical villain, I'm gonna get you, man, punk. You should stay back in, whatever. Da 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 da. It's just like, okay, like it's just always kind of these like, tough and like, I'm gonna get you, bro. Like, man, you're done. I'm gonna kick your ass. It's just like, it's a typical, airhead bully that has no, like, he's probably got beat up as a kid or from his parents or from his family, comes from a rough family. It does not really add. I mean, it's so generic. And again, and even the villain, the bad guys, like his sensei is typical, like, no mercy, like very was that Kreese, right, from Karate Kid and Cobra Kai? Kreese, it's like very like, oh, man, you better kick his ass. Da, da, da. It's like, okay, man. It just, again, goes back to the formulaic issue, like not really adding anything special. The thing that definitely kind of took me off guard, and is this scene right here. Was expecting this. He becomes friends with this girl in his class, and Lee, the main actor played by Ben Wong. Goes to this pizza place, asks for a stuffed crust, and again in New York City, they kind of like joke around with him and make fun of him. And then one day he sees the girl in his class. What's the actress's name? He sees his classmates' dad getting beat up in the alley but where he lives. Mia played by Stanley, whatever. And her dad, Victor, played by Joshua Jackson, who's actually really good in this movie. I'll give him that. Victor, and the movie kind of takes this thing of like Victor asks Lee to like train him for this boxing fight, to pay off like some debts and pay off some these loan sharks, whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting, but also it's kind of like this kid's like what 15, like I get it, whatever. I mean he's a martial arts prodigy too, and then Victor was a he was like a rising boxing star in New York from so many years ago, whatever. Now it's a pizzeria, and then that kind of takes a turn, and you're like, okay, and then something happens, midway in the movie, and then it's kind of this like really rushed montage of like training for like the New York, battle of the Bronx, whatever, battle of like the four boroughs, whatever, fight. And speaking of rush, the movie's an hour 30, and it's super rushed because this might be a spoiler, and I apologize. They don't really give much to do for. They don't really give Daniel LaRusso or Mr. Han, Ralph Macchio, Jackie Chan's characters to do anything until the very like last 30 to 25 minutes. Like they're in it a little bit in the beginning, like barely, but they don't really come into the last like act of the movie. You're like, oh, here they are. And it's like, well, this is very nostalgic bait. This is very kind of like, oh yeah, remember when these two guys, it was like the marketing made it feel like they were in the movie a lot more than they are. And again, I have a problem with that recently, where I feel like I've seen a lot of misleading movies and marketing where it's like, I gotta be careful, because if you sell something like this and it doesn't work out, you're gonna have a few angry, fans and audiences be like, what the hell was this? So I was kind of disappointed how they kind of rushed, how they could have utilized Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan a lot better. Maybe a more fleshed out, better written story. Get more to do. It's kind of just like, oh, look, they're here, they're gonna train me, that's it, whatever. And it just kind of goes nowhere. You're like, oh, all right. I did like stuff between character Lee and his mom. They're going through a loss, and that to me was very sweet. Yeah, the mom, played by, what is her name? Min Dong Wen. Is she who I think she is? Oh, it's Mulan. Yeah, I grew up with Mulan as well. Again, great actress, but the whole time she kind of feels like she's like, yeah, I told you, we promised. She's phoning it in. Like she's phoning it in, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely a paycheck. Is anything special going to like brag about? Hell no. But I did like some of the charm and some of like the fight scenes that were definitely well choreographed. I didn't feel like kind of like too Power Ranger-y, as we've been calling it on the show recently. But with that said, though, it just felt like this. If you're trying to bring back this franchise, do it like Creed or Top Gun. Make it feel like epic. Make it like an event. This felt again. See what I'm talking about? Dogs. Make it feel like an event, or make it feel like like, hey, we're bringing this back for the good reason. We're gonna like bring the Karate Kid back for everything. But I think also too is that I think, like I said, what I've heard is that Cobra Kai didn't really end with a bang, and more with kind of like a very like fizzled out. And again, I don't think people remember the Karate Kid 2010 one as well as they think they do. So it kind of just felt like, I'm not gonna say a pointless cash grab, but it didn't really. It was kind of like, for why? Well, how was this movie made? It's also made by a first-time director, I believe, as well. And again, I think a lot of these sequels and reboots, whatever, are relying on nostalgia and like, remember this person, da da da. And they kind of feel a little bit like just kind of soulless, unfortunately. But so again, not a bad movie, not a great movie, but we've seen it before. It just didn't really kind of move the pendulum at all, or didn't really help other legacy sequels moving forward. So I'd give Karate Kid Legends probably a 5 out of 10. Again, not a bad movie, not like oh my god, this was utter trash. No, but it just didn't really do anything. And I think some of the kids that I saw it in the theater. And there were some families in there. I mean, some of them definitely were digging it. Again, for the demographic, of course, like, hey, like they want to see it, like underdog, rooting for it, whatever. But as far as legacy sequels and reboots go, this is kind of just very forgettable. But again, when Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan are on, they are very good. It is fun to watch them together. I could use a whole series with Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, or like more of them in a fleshed out movie. But they kind of waste both their talents, unfortunately. So yeah, Karate Kid Legends, 5 out of 10. It's like a fine summer popcorn flick, but you're not really getting much out of it personally. And I don't think it's doing that well either. But it shouldn't have cost that much to make. But yeah, see it for yourself or not. But I think it's still in theaters. I think it's also coming to digital soon, or on digital now. But yeah, check it out if you want to. All right, transitioning from Karate Kid Legends to a wildly, and I mean wildly different movie that one that's been scarring me ever since I saw it about a week or two ago, and that is A24's Bring Her Back. Some of you were like, "What movie?" Yeah, this movie is directed by the guys who did Talk to Me, and I've still haven't seen Talk to Me. Everyone know loves that movie, and I know it's on Netflix, on Paramount Plus. I haven't seen it yet. Um, we did get invited to this screening a few weeks ago, but again, I had a friend's graduation. Shout out to Hamza, his school, medical school graduation, so I missed it. But our friends Nino and Seth went, and they said it was a wild ride. So we're hearing it was bonkers, crazy, all this, whatever. And it was leaving my theater, I think, about a week ago. So I was like, I'm gonna see it before it leaves. And I was hearing this, really gnarly things about it, where we're like, oh. So and again, I don't really, typically like films like that. I am a horror fan for sure. But and speaking of dogs barking again, but this one was getting a lot of attraction for how bonkers it was. So I had to check it out, and I will still definitely check out Talk to Me sometime this summer too. I promise. But Bring Her Back follows a brother and sister who witness a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Again, this is by A24, and you know A24 makes bonkers, wild shit, crazy movies, and also very wildly original movies like this. Man, I can't tell you the last time I was this disturbed in a movie like this. This movie is morose, capital morose. It is disgusting. It is just frightening and very, very, very eerie. Again, me being the only person in the theater definitely added to the being creeped out and disturbed. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you this. I had a big tub of popcorn from Regal sitting there. I was kind of hungry, whatever. I was eating popcorn. It was great. And then once things got getting nasty and grotesque, I couldn't finish the popcorn. I put it away. I was like this. I was like, no, I'm good. I couldn't even finish the popcorn. I felt this grossed out by it. For a low budget movie, it looks incredibly well. Again, A24, Blumhouse, they know how to make high concept, low budget movies. And original movies, importantly. And this movie just really gave me the ick. And, again, that's the power of filmmaking. Filmmaking has the power to make you kind of feel all types of way. This movie made me feel disturbed on so many levels. I did like that I knew none of the actors other than, Sally Hawkins. I knew her from Paddington, knew her from Shape of Water. Phenomenal actress. She's very this kind of just like fizzled, but very like, I don't know, like she has this kind of like mysterious thing about her in all her movies. But I did love her in Paddington. She's very warm and very friendly in Paddington. But I also thought, I did not like, and I'm gonna get hate for this too. I'm on record saying I did not care for Shape of Water. I think it's massively overrated, and I thought it was kind of just like, okay, didn't do it for me. Big Del Toro fan as a person and some of his movies, but that movie to me did not work at all. But Sally Hawkins is in this, and she plays this foster mom who's just very, you can tell right away of like, she's off, what's going on with her. And as the movie progresses too, you're like, what the hell is she up to? Like, what's going on here? And the more the movie kind of like slowly unveils, it's a slow burn too, a slow burn of like what's happening. You just feel more and more creeped out and sick and disgusted. And at a point where I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't have seen this in theater because I feel really like, ugh. And I gotta say, these guys, these brothers, I know they were famous off YouTube before they made their big feature with A24. I mean, they're being praised to make these really graphic and really like morose, horror films. And I know people love Talk to Me, so I gotta watch that. Like I said, but I give them credit for making really out there movies. Again, that's the power of filmmaking and originality. I'll tell you what, the brother and sister in this, played by, pull them up real quick. Billy Barrett, who plays Andy, and Sora Wong, who plays Piper. Sora Wong is remarkable in this. She's a blind actress. She's also blind in the movie as well. What she has to go through in this movie is just terrifying. It is incredibly challenging, but man, she is just tremendous in this. And again, I like seeing actors, again, for a low budget film like this. How much was this movie? Was his budget? Let's check it out. 15 mil. Again, and today's standards, that's a very low budget movie. But again, not knowing Billy or Sora, like it added to the kind of like me being more invested in their storylines, also more scared for them because the whole time I'm like, they better get the hell out of this house because get away from this woman because they are in danger and they just feel, you can tell right what they just feel like, and what these two have to go through in this movie is just it just boggles my mind. I'm like, wow. And also this actor Jonah, hold up now. Jonah Ren Phillips plays Oliver. This kid has to do some things in this movie where I was like, I just was like, and I can't get the image out of my head of some of the things that they show where I was just like, like to this day, I feel so, I had the ick around now wooden tables and certain utensils. I'll say that, and other things as well where I'm like, so. I will never watch this movie ever again. Hell no. I will never. But I will say I was intrigued of where the story was going and like what was gonna be, how it was gonna be resolved. And the movie is brutal and it goes places where you're just like, oh my god, like wow, they took it there. These guys didn't hold back. And I feel like sometimes in a lot of quote unquote mainstream horror movies, they have to hold back some of like the grotesqueness, word, and the brutality. But again, I think A24 has really let other filmmakers kind of like execute their vision the way they want, and they have, I guess, carte blanche with this because Our Talk to Me is very also like bonkers and out wild too. But as a movie itself, I cannot tell you that I've been disturbed in the movie in quite a while. Yeah, I mean, the substance I was definitely disturbed in, but I was also intrigued by the concept and the premise of what was going to happen. Where I was like, I was creeped out. I was kind of grossed out, but I was like, well, what's going to happen with this? I was intrigued, but also I was like, I'm kind of wrap it up. I'm kind of just like over this. Again, I don't want to leave the theater, but I kept looking away at times where I was like, no, I'm good. So if you're in the kind of like really kind of like grotesque and very I said morbid and very morose kind of filmmaking and horror movies, got a movie for you. It's called Bring Her Back. But again, I applaud again also these guys. Was it the Filippo brothers? I love their energy. You see them in interviews; they're just happy to be there. They love making movies. They love kind of just their passion is very infectious in the best possible way. But as on the story and from how it just goes. I can't recommend this movie personally, but if that's your cup of tea, then go for it. But I will never ever watch the movie again. That's why I'm giving it also a 5 Well, I'll give it a 4.5 out of 10 because of the originality and just how bonkers it is. But I think at times, and I think my boys at Double Toast said the same thing too. They said that like. At times you can definitely feel like they're trying to be gross just to be gross for the wow factor, like the shock factor, like wow, we did this. And the movie is mean and it's cold. It's a very cold and very mean movie. So I would give this really a 4.5 out of 10. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but for me it just didn't work on the way I think my other horror friends did. So yeah, so Karate Kid 5 and Bring Her Back 4.5. So not really a good review, positive review roundup episode for you all this week, but an honest one at least. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this review episode. Like I said, I got 2 more for you this week. Hopefully on the one by the end of the weekend, I'm adding some more reactions and more footage for you all. Like I said, I probably will put one out on maybe I'll put them out before the 4th of July so you can enjoy it on the holidays. Look out for that. Like I said, no full show of the podcast this week. Again, I'm giving the boys a week off. I think I'll be with family and friends. And I think we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back the week after. And like I said, we have Superman the 8th. Well, I have Superman the 8th with some friends on IMAX. We've read AZ emails ahead of us. We might be doing Austin, and Seth. We might be doing like a behind the scenes or a pre-screening vlog If not, we'll for sure do a reaction video. I want to shout out them again for doing an amazing job, and Isaac as well for our Megan 2.0 reaction. They made it so much more fun, more memorable. I know Nick and I both appreciated them doing it, so hopefully they'll be part more of our reactions. But screening wise, as of now, he's got one this summer. But things can change. Might get cool invites here and there. You never know. But again, hope you all having a great end of June. I will talk to you all soon, and of course, we will see you all at the movies.